Is travel still an option? Exploring 10 countries where Muslims face forced returns. Have you ever imagined embarking on a journey only to find that your presence in a country is not just unwelcome, but actively discouraged? What happens when nations that once opened their borders to refugees and migrants suddenly reverse course, enforcing policies that push people out? For Muslim travelers and residents, this is an evolving reality in 2025, as several countries tighten immigration laws and accelerate deportations. This guide delves into these destinations, not as a typical travelogue highlighting scenic landscapes or cultural hotspots, but as an exploration of shifting policies and what they mean for those affected. Whether you're a concerned traveler, a researcher, or simply an observer of global migration trends, this guide provides a comprehensive look at the situation in 10 countries where Muslims face forced returns. Germany, often praised for its humanitarian stance on refugees, is now taking a sharp turn in its immigration policies. With an increased budget of €1 billion dedicated to deportations, the government aims to remove over 100,000 rejected asylum seekers, many of whom are from Muslim-majority countries. The shift has particularly affected Afghans, as Germany resumed deportations to Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. For travelers, Germany remains a cultural powerhouse, from the cobbled streets of Heidelberg to the bustling avenues of Berlin. However, for those seeking asylum, the atmosphere is increasingly tense, with heightened scrutiny at borders and within communities. The question remains, is the nation still a welcoming place for Muslim travelers, or has it become a land of uncertainty? Sweden's reputation for progressive policies is being challenged by a new wave of deportations. In 2024 alone, the country expelled over 15,000 asylum seekers, predominantly from Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan. With an investment of €200 million in border control, Sweden is prioritizing repatriation over resettlement. For tourists, Sweden remains a breathtaking destination with its pristine fjords, northern lights, and historic Viking sites. But for Muslim migrants and refugees, the situation is dire. The government cites economic strain and integration challenges as justifications for its actions, but critics argue that these policies erode Sweden's long-standing humanitarian values. Ironically, Turkey, home to nearly 4 million refugees, has itself become a deportation hub. The government has been accused of forcibly returning Uyghur Muslims to third-party countries, which then send them back to China. Additionally, tens of thousands of Afghans and Syrians have been deported under new policies that aim to control the growing refugee population. For travelers, Turkey remains a gem of cultural and historical wonders. From the grandeur of Hagia Sophia to the mesmerizing landscapes of Cappadocia, it's a dream destination. However, for many Muslims seeking safety, Turkey's shifting policies mean that the country is no longer a secure refuge, but a transit point toward an uncertain future. France, home to the largest Muslim population in Western Europe, is tightening its stance on immigration. With new laws targeting individuals accused of radicalization, deportations have surged. In 2024, 14,000 individuals were forced to leave, many of whom had lived in the country for decades. Yet, France remains an alluring destination for travelers. Whether strolling through the streets of Paris, indulging in world-class cuisine, or exploring the lavender fields of Provence, it's a place of beauty and sophistication. However, for Muslims living within its borders, heightened surveillance and restrictive laws on religious expression create an increasingly challenging environment. Denmark has adopted a hardline approach to immigration, implementing a zero asylum policy that effectively eliminates avenues for refugees to seek safety. With agreements to process asylum seekers in Rwanda and increase deportations, the country's stance on migration is among the strictest in Europe. For tourists, Denmark is a land of fairy tale castles and modern design, a fusion of history and innovation. However, the aggressive deportation strategy has raised ethical concerns and alienated many communities. Muslim travelers may find Denmark's welcoming spirit intact, but its policies toward long-term residents tell a different story. Austria has long been wary of mass migration, and its policies reflect this stance. In 2024, over 10,000 rejected asylum seekers, primarily from Muslim-majority countries, were deported. The country's controversial law allowing deportations to partially safe conflict zones has sparked international debate. Despite this, Austria's charm remains intact for visitors. The picturesque landscapes of Hallstatt, the imperial grandeur of Vienna, and the alpine wonders of Tyrol continue to attract tourists. But beneath the scenic facade, Austria is becoming increasingly unwelcoming to those seeking refuge. Hungary, the uncompromising border. Hungary has maintained one of Europe's strictest anti-immigration policies, with a zero refugee policy that has been in place since 2015. The government actively discourages Muslim migration and criminalizes assistance to undocumented individuals. Budapest's historic architecture and the natural beauty of Lake Balaton still draw travelers, but for asylum seekers, Hungary remains a closed door. The government's stance reflects a deep resistance to multiculturalism, making it one of the least hospitable places for Muslim migrants. The United States, the selective welcome. While the US remains a top destination for tourism and business, its immigration policies tell a different story. With continued travel restrictions on Muslim-majority countries and an increased deportation rate, the country's stance on migration is becoming tougher. In 2024, 24,000 individuals from Muslim-majority nations were deported. From the vibrant streets of New York to the vast landscapes of the Grand Canyon, the US still offers unmatched travel experiences. However, for Muslim asylum seekers, the American dream is becoming harder to attain as policies grow more exclusionary. Australia, the remote deterrent. Australia's offshore detention system remains one of the harshest in the world, with 1,200 asylum seekers held in offshore facilities in Nauru and Papua New Guinea. The country's immigration system is designed to deter arrivals. Deportations have increased, targeting individuals from Afghanistan, Iran, and Sri Lanka. Tourists continue to flock to Australia's stunning coastlines and natural wonders, but for those seeking a new home, the country's policies send a clear message. Australia is not open for asylum. European Union, collectively, the shifting policies. 17 EU nations have collectively adopted stricter deportation measures, with 25,000 asylum seekers expelled in October 2024 alone. Deals with North African nations to curb migration have raised ethical concerns. Europe remains a dream destination for travelers, with its historic cities, cultural treasures, and breathtaking landscapes. However, for many Muslim migrants, the continent is becoming a fortress rather than a haven. Final thoughts: navigating a changing world. As immigration policies shift, so does the landscape for Muslim travelers and migrants. While these countries continue to offer rich cultural and historical experiences for tourists, the reality for asylum seekers and long-term Muslim residents is increasingly difficult. Whether you are traveling, seeking refuge, or simply observing global trends, the world in 2025 presents a complex and evolving picture.